Teams that go up 3-1 in an NHL playoff series will win that series at least 9 out of every 10 times, and a 3-1 comeback hasn't happened yet this season, which put a lot of emphasis on the result of Game 4 between the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. I'll talk about Game 4 and more, but first, subscribe to the channel if you like what you see in this video and on our channel. Let's start with Game 4 itself. Calvin Pickard got the nod in goal for the Oilers, which was the 32-year-old's first NHL playoff start. Despite the fact that this is Pickard's 13th season of professional hockey, he had actually only ever played 5 playoff games in his professional career, all of them in the AHL, 3 with the 2018 Toronto Marlies and 2 last season with the Bakersfield Condors. Edmonton came out strong. They had a much better first period than Vancouver, controlled the bulk of the play, and the inevitable Oilers power play opened things up to make it 1-0, with Connor McDavid drawing Ian Cole out of position before finding Draisaitl, who forced a one-timer through Artur Shilovs and in to make it 1-0 Oilers. Both Pickard and Shilovs had some good moments through the rest of the first period and really in the bulk of the second as well, with Vancouver finding a little bit of a pushback in the second after a poor first, but Vancouver's downfall in the second period would be a pretty awful decision by one player. You see here Noah Juulsen on defense running way out of position to try and throw a hit on Mattias Ekholm. The hit connects, but Juulsen going out of position leads to an easy Oilers 2-on-1, which was converted upon by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to make it 2-0 Edmonton. But Vancouver wouldn't go away, and just as they'd done in Game 1, they pushed back really hard in the third period. Connor Garland was probably Vancouver's most involved player today, definitely their most involved forward in everything, and he was the one who scored to make it 2-1, finally beating Calvin Pickard. That was Vancouver's first goal on him, less than 7 minutes into the third period. Late in the third, Vancouver pulled Shilovs to try and push, and they would find a tying goal with 101 seconds left in the game. Brock Besser took a shot from the left-hand side to hit Dakota Joshua in the skate in front of the net and found its way past Pickard to tie things up at 2. 2-2 late in the third overall. Definitely the tying goal, not Calvin Pickard's fault. That one deflected in off Joshua. Garland's shot took a deflection as well before it beat Pickard, so can't really fault the Oilers goaltender on either of those goals. However, Edmonton now in a position where the game's all tied up. They won Game 2 in overtime from a tied position late. They didn't need overtime this time, but it was the same hero. Leon Draisaitl sends a pass from behind towards the front of the net. It hits Shilovs' stick before finding the stick of Evan Bouchard, who took a hard wrist shot that goes through Artur Shilovs, maybe one the Vancouver goaltender would like to have back, but it goes in to make it 3-2. The Oilers hold on. They win this game. Edmonton has their second win of the series. It's by 1 goal again. Each game in this series has been decided by 1 goal, and again, Evan Bouchard with a game-winning goal. Pretty safe to say Edmonton outplayed Vancouver in this game. They outshot them 30-21, and they managed to score a goal in each period. Calvin Pickard was the story of the game, both before, during, and after. He got the win, was the second star, 19 saves on 21 shots, did enough to keep his team in the game the whole time. So, after 4 games, this series sits at 2-2. Obviously, for Edmonton Oilers fans, there's going to be some optimism because the series is all tied up at 2, and Game 4, had it gone the other way, it could have been 3-1 Vancouver. It was a 1-goal game, just like Game 2 in overtime was. Edmonton have had a couple scares, and if you look at the 4 games, they really should be winning the series, but they could also easily be down. They could be down 3-1, especially if Ian Cole wasn't determined to score on his own net at every possible opportunity for some reason. They can and probably should be better, the Edmonton Oilers. And the Vancouver Canucks in this series have done a really good job at taking advantage of the Oilers' mistakes. They came back, obviously, in Game 1. They managed to win Game 3. So it's a 2-2 series. Edmonton might get through Vancouver playing like this, but they need to be better if they want to soldier on and win a Stanley Cup. So as much as there's going to be a lot of positive vibes in Edmonton, there's obviously a huge amount of hope after Edmonton ties this series up at 2 that they can get through Vancouver and go into the Western Conference Final. If they are going to get to the Western Conference Final and beyond, here's what I think needs to get better. As I said in my series preview, goaltending was always destined to be under the microscope in this series for a couple different reasons. Obviously, first, through the Oilers' lens, it was in the second round of last season's playoffs that brought upon the downfall of Edmonton, largely due to the imbalance of the quality of goaltending in that series. Adin Hill was so far above Stuart Skinner. From a Vancouver perspective, they were heading into this series against the best player in the world and his team, starting a 23-year-old goaltender with 9 career NHL regular season postseason games under his belt. If you'll recall my series preview video, I had Edmonton winning the goaltending battle as their big factor that could on its own win or lose the Oilers this series. In at least 3 out of the 4 games in this series so far, I think it's safe to say the team with the superior goaltending has earned the victory. Shilov's outplayed Skinner in both games 1 and 3 without a doubt, and game 4 was all Picker. The only game you might not be able to say it about is game 2. Shilovs and Skinner were at least pretty even. But game 4, Pickard definitely outplayed Shilovs, and it got Edmonton the win, and he answered the bell in a big way. Pickard's performance is reassuring for Edmonton. But much in the same way that I called Artur Shilovs' sustainability into question before the series, if you're the Oilers, you have to wonder how Calvin Pickard will fare, if not for the rest of the series against Vancouver, maybe in a Western Conference final against the Dallas Stars, who have largely dismantled Colorado's defenses so far. Goaltending is not a new topic in Edmonton, I understand that. We'll go all the way back to March 2nd, because during a March 2nd Q&A with Daniel Nugent-Bowman of The Athletic, Ken Holland said of exploring the goaltending market, quote, "No, I'm not exploring the market at all. We feel really good about our goaltending." Faith in your players is awesome when it's rewarded. To use a parallel about, Edmonton's second-round opponent, think about Brock Besser. He broke onto the scene as a rookie in 17-18, but he struggled for consistency after a good rookie year, and he was in serious trade talks after a pretty bad 2022-23 season. But Alvin and Rutherford knew what they had in Besser. They didn't want to move him for less than what they believed to be fair value, and look at what the faith has been rewarded in. Besser scored 40 goals in the regular season. He's got 7 in 10 playoff games so far. Now, if Stuart Skinner had performed at his best in these playoffs, Holland's decision not to pursue a goaltender would have been looked upon very favorably, but that's not the case. And while this conclusion is obviously aided by the benefit of hindsight, Holland's faith in Skinner is a big factor as to why this series is not 2-2 and why there's going to be some serious question marks if Edmonton does get through to the third round. The next big thing that the Oilers need to improve upon is their depth scoring. Pretty much the entire time Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have been Edmonton superstars, questions have surrounded the team's depth. I thought it was better heading into these playoffs this season. You had promising young players like Ryan McLeod and Dylan Holloway. You had vets like Evander Kane, Corey Perry, and Adam Henrique, all 3 of those who have had very strong playoff performances in the past. And you had a defense core that boasted 3 players with 30 or more points. You had guys like Warren Fogle, who scored 20 goals this season, and Matthias Janmark, who I've always found to be a useful player, whether or not his production has followed that. Nobody aside from the top players have done anything. The Oilers have scored 36 goals in 9 games. The 5 players on the first power play unit have 25 of them, with Draisaitl and Hyman alone with 17. Evander Kane has only 2 goals and 4 points in the playoffs. He's only got 1 assist in this series. Adam Henrique, only 1 goal, 1 assist in the playoffs. Dylan Holloway's only points were 2 goals in Game 2 against Los Angeles in a loss. Warren Fogle, only 2 points. Ryan McLeod and Corey Perry, pointless through 9 games. It seems like Edmonton's downfall in the playoffs this season has been due to goaltending and depth, and I say downfall. It's still a 2-2 series. They could still easily win this second-round series against the Vancouver Canucks. They still have a record of 6-3 in the playoffs, which is good, but you look at this Oilers team and you have to ask yourself, are they going to beat a loaded Dallas Stars team? Dallas's best attribute is their depth, how deep they are on forward, how deep they are on defense, the fact that shift after shift they are putting out a quality unit of players. The Oilers need help in net and they need to get deeper. Where have I heard that before? Has that not been what's been holding the Oilers back for years now? This year they tried to get deeper, but none of their methods of doing so really work. Connor Brown's abysmal season has already been well documented, but the midseason acquisitions like Adam Henrique and Corey Perry have produced well below what the Oilers would have been optimistically hoping for. Aside from Zach Hyman and Evan Bouchard, who can you really say has been better than expected in these playoffs? Warren Fogle was probably the most pleasant surprise for Edmonton this season, but he's been pointless in his last 6 games, and really, Edmonton's bottom 6 needs to get going and the crease needs to be solidified. I know that's a broken record kind of thing in Edmonton, but it needs to be said because if Edmonton is going to march on in these playoffs, if they're going to manage to not just win this round, but win another, which of course has to be the goal for this Oilers team, the depth and the crease needs to be better. Consolation, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, Evan Bouchard, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' play has just been amazing so far. It's been enough to get them this far. Oilers still need to get better from here. Thanks for watching this video.